class with Mr. Bill Slayden here for a game of 50s film strip. So Bill here will be guiding us through a film strip, and all of our returning members will be acting out the slides that he shows to us. So that'll be fun.
Can't wait.
Can't wait either.
Be sure to get this. Oh, do you want me to get suggestions?
Oh, no, I do want to.
And they complain about me, forget it.
I'm Cheryl Slayden, and I am Bill's wife. We were married for 46 years, and it was the love of my life, for sure, absolutely.
And I'm Marshall. I'm Bill's oldest son, and I was one of the first super fans for Einstein Simplified at a tender young age.
Yes,
So.
yes, exactly. Well, one of the first things that I remember about Bill is always laughing. I mean, the man always had, in fact, sometimes I had to say, sweetie, can we be a little bit serious for right now? This is a serious moment. But he always made me laugh, and that was one of the things that drew me to him. I met Bill when things were a little tough in my life, and he, brought it up to an even level, if not even more. So the laughing side of Bill was just the number one part.
So Marshall, growing up with Bill as your father, what was your experience like growing up with Bill as your dad?
Well, like Mom already said, he was a very entertaining guy, and like as a kid, it was. I hope like all kids find their parents at least somewhat entertaining. His was even more so, and that probably got us in trouble.
Yeah.
Every now and then because it's like, well, Dad can act like this. It's like, so should we?
Yeah.
Well, there's a certain line there, and you just don't understand timing and all that just yet. So, but no, it was very fun. Like you say, he was around for all the things that he could be.
Bill.
It's cool. Stay right here.
Bill, Walt, and Todd in a triangle.
Ooh, a menage a trois.
Dodging in the back.
I don't know, Bill.
There's downstairs there, so.
Hold on, let me braid and part this and go.
That's it.
Stop.
And I'm here too.
What is the game?
Alright, this is a game called Triangle. We have
They
three.
shaved that.
Hey, Bill.
What? Oh, yeah, wax it. Sorry.
Alright. If I can explain myself here. This is a game called Triangle. We have three pairings of two. So I need we'll have Todd Triangle. We'll have Todd and Bill. We need just a word for Todd and Bill to make a scene inspired. Candle. Candle is your word. So rotate. Let's rotate. Let's rotate that.
Oh.
I feel like I'm trying to explain bingo to old folks.
I'll tell you what, the longer you stand around Bill, the smaller your brain gets.
All the things that he could be.
Bill was very into music.
Dad had a very intensive and organized record collection, which I was very jealous of. And so, but like I would spend more time listening to his records than listening to whatever was current.
Right.
Right.
So music was a big part of Bill's life, huge part.
So mentioning about Bill and his love of music, what kind of music was he into?
Yeah, it's a cliche to say, but he was into all types of music. Right. So I have his record collection now, and I went through it, and I remember my favorites growing up because you find the big ones, the Rolling Stones, the Led Zeppelins, the Beatles, and stuff like that. But then in going through it, I realized he had pop, disco, country, the rock. He had some sort of like these record collections of just like big band playing timeless classics. He had everything in there, and I was like, I mean, I never found myself as a kid listening to any of it, but I was like, when you go back through it again and you're looking, it's like he really was into everything. People say that, but he really was.
Right.
So it was. There was a wide array that he really liked,
Right.
and I think that's a big part of also why he liked DJing, is like he didn't mind playing whatever was popular.
Right,
So yeah,
right,
and
right.
he just, if he liked it, he liked it. That was
Right.
it.
What do you remember back when Bill come to you and said, "Well, I want to. I saw this thing and I want to go try it. It sounds like a lot of fun." What was that
Actually,
conversation?
I wish I had been a fly on the wall in that room.
Yeah, actually, well, you can help me with this. He saw a little blurb in the newspaper. You think you're funny? And I wish we had a copy of that. You think you're funny? Come to this class. And it was offered by, we finally figured it out,
Yeah.
David Alley, who is now with the University of Tennessee Clarence Brown Theater. He's a professor there. And David offered this class, and Bill and Paul Simmons were at this class.
Hi, I'm Paul Simmons. I'm an OG original member of Einstein Simplified back from when the troupe started back in 1994. Took the class and everything. Oh, how did I become indoctrinated? Okay. There was an ad in the paper, the Metro Pulse. It's like, do you think you're funny? And call this number. And a colleague at work had seen that and taken it, and then said the next day, was like, oh, you need to come do this. So I hadn't seen the ad in the paper, but the colleague at work, a friend, had said, hey, you definitely need to get involved with this. So I went in there, took the class with David Alley, who's now back here in Knoxville, teaching at UT. So that was the class was every Tuesday and Thursday for 3 hours for 8 weeks. It was an intensive course, to get you ready and prepared.
And Paul reminded me today that there were 10 of them, I think 12 or 13 in the class, but 10 of them actually graduated from the class and started. I don't know how they came up with the name of Einstein Simplified. Do you?
I don't.
Okay.
It always was, and I never questioned it.
Right.
10 people hit the stage that first night at the Manhattan's open mic night, and he gave us a 15-minute slot. And then they liked it so much before we got off the stage, the manager came up and she said, that was great. Would you like 30 minutes next week? Yes, we would. We'll see you next week. And then next week we got off the stage and almost got that bug. We got off the stage. He said, before we got off, that was fantastic. Would you like an hour to open up for open mic night every week? And yes, we would. And there we went. There's more history jumping around, but I'll skip that.
Right.
And they had the logo, or not the logo, just the classic picture of Einstein, Albert Einstein sticking his tongue out.
Right.
And they kind of stole that one.
Right. So anyway, Bill saw this little article, says, I'm going to go to these classes, and I'm thinking, you have lost your ever-loving mind. But he went to the classes religiously and learned how to do improv, and David really got him started on it. I mean, it was just fascinating. And then they started improv, Einstein Simplified, and went on from there. I mean, it was just kept going.
Yeah.
His was off the cuff comedy. I mean, that's what was perfect for improv.
Yeah.
So, and occasionally, he could weave something that was long and drawn out, but it was very off the cuff and always telling a joke.
Yeah.
Could always remember jokes. I never could remember. I couldn't even repeat the jokes each
It was
time.
actually not like was the term dad joke these days. He didn't do dad jokes.
No.
He just did what he felt like was funny at the time.
Right,
So, but
right.
yeah,
Exactly.
he wasn't going to tell a joke that he read off a popsicle stick.
Consumer products.
Fortune cookie.
Fortune cookie.
No, I want consumer products from Bill's son.
All right, men. Forget the Fitbit. You need to know how many times you're touching yourself inappropriately. Let's get the penis pulse right out here. And it every time.
What made Bill?
Yeah, what made
him
Bill
unique?
stand out in the truth?
He would dive into anything, and he was not shy about saying whatever came to mind or whatever the scene called for. I mean, he and I together started the Shakespeare, the Shakespeare, where it was rhyming couplets, which ran for a long while. He just had an exuberance and a joy in it that was obvious whenever he was on stage. You know, after the original members and after we brought in some of the original ones, just like kind of, not quite for me, and went off right away. And we brought in some new members. And Bill would always notice when people were uncomfortable. We had one member, Steve, he'd be like, stop touching me. So that's just a mistake. You tell Bill that, because then it's just nothing but touchy, touchy, touchy. One of my favorite moments early on there was in a game called Superheroes, where there's a world crisis going on and you call for superheroes and you endow them with their powers, they pop on. And when Bill came on, he was endowed with inappropriate touching man. And he's just like, so he just looked Steve right in the eyes like, what's going on in the world crisis monitor? Just cupped him right in the sack and just held it there. And Steve was just like, just hovering above the stage as he just going, well, what's going on? And just kept it there for a very long time, which is absolutely hysterical. Yeah, that was one of them. And there was this, to tell you how long ago it was, at Manhattan's, there was a cigarette machine near the stage, and he was very physical. You would not really realize that, but very physical. So in one scene, we needed an owl, so he got off and jumped up and was sitting on top of the cigarette machine like an owl. Woo! Just off stage over there, playing the part of the owl. It's just that full abandon joy of performing and being whatever character is needed.
Die, Bill. That was 2 words. So, never, you can't say and. If you say and, you'll also die. And, or 2 words will die.
Oh, I need something to die by from a barnyard.
Sheep shears.
Sheep shear?
Sheep shears.
Dead by sheep shears. All right. So you bitches are gonna get it. I'm gonna make my wife a fur coat. She just doesn't know it's sheep. Ow, God! Let go of my leg! I'm just trying to shear you! Get back! Get back! Jump over the moon or whatever the cows do! Oh! Ah!
Dead by sheep shears.
Well, Bill the animal because he just would do whatever and wouldn't care, and would just kind of like almost at times a feral beast that would keep going, and he would talk. And then Invader, one of the favorites to watch him play, where he would just keep on going and going and going. It was Todd Covert who wrote our theme song. We were finishing up the show, so we would play our theme song, and when he was playing the guitar, he would go and introduce the troop members, like, so-and-so this, so-and-so that, sometimes calling out what was done, and then he's the one that came like, Bill, the animal Slayden, and I think it was one of the...
Every time I buzz, they're going to change to a different scene, okay? So we'll start out with Candle.
Yeah.
Let's make a scene, you got it?
Yes.
Do you need a nap or anything?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Okay. I'm so glad that you and I decided to go on vacation to this place where we make candles together. Oh, what an absolutely great idea. In fact, I'm holding one right here. I can tell. It's a special one from the 1800s, and they said, do not deface it or despoil it or do anything, but I get to hold it. Well, that's fantastic. Hopefully it won't hemorrhage on us. Or well, the wick. It's an interesting thing. The wick is not made of cotton or anything. No. Back then, they took young girls' hair and braided it and made it up into tallow. Tallow, that's another word for wax. But anyway, you're a fount of knowledge sometimes. Absolutely. Now, if you light it, though, there's a little problem. It doesn't stay lit that long. Why not? I don't know, because the girl's hair stinks. I don't know. But anyway, the tallow doesn't drip like it's supposed to. But this is a great place.
It is.
Rotate.
I go back? Yes. Take my candle? Yes. Okay.
Hey! You were telling me about the candles that you and I are here making together.
Exactly right. This was the one by Elton John. It does it in the wind.
So I found this other candle over here by Elton John. It's called the Rocket Man.
Oh, yes! That is really great. Are you going to light it and let it...
Well, you do light it, and it sparks up everywhere.
Oh, like a Roman candle. Only it's an Elton candle. Well, he could be Roman. He could be with Caligula or whatever that guy was.
Caligula?
So he went to the classes religiously, and then he became a performer with Einstein. So what was it like going to watch the shows, the early shows that he was in, and going to watch what he was doing?
Well, it was actually hard for me to watch him to do that, because I was always nervous that something that he said wasn't going to go over. And Bill tended to stay away from the risque. That was pretty important to him. I know some of the other performers kind of like to go down that path, but he stayed away from that.
He was the Sinbad of Einstein Simplified.
So I had a hard time watching him perform, because I always wanted him to do well, and he always did well. But, you know, as you're sitting there watching, is this going to go over? Is this going to work? And then Bill was always involved in falling on the floor hard, or somehow, in my opinion, hurting himself, and that was difficult for me to watch. It's
One of
not
the
that-
crazy things that he did, and this was at Sullivan's, Patrick Sullivan's, which was a fantastic stage. It was carpeted and it was wood, so it had give, like a wrestling ring. And he just, that may have been the night that he just kicked up and bam, slammed down on the mat, like it was like, what the heck happened there? It sounded like something broke, but it didn't. He's like, I'm fine. So that's just, that kind of thing is how he got called Bill the Animal Slayden. So it's either Bill the Animal Slayden or Bill Slayden CPA, depending on what time of the show, pre or post it is.
It's not that I didn't enjoy it. It's as a wife and the father of my children, is he going to hurt himself up there? And
Took his pratfalls a little too seriously
yes,
at
he
times.
did. Yes, he did.
And I think that was part of the animal moniker, was just flailing all over the stage.
I never knew. I mean, he says, I'm known as the animal. I'm going, what? So, anyway.
So, with the animal moniker, like, how did he, what did he think about being known as the animal? And also, did he embrace that with like the grandchildren and?
I don't think with the grandchildren.
They never saw it.
Right.
I don't think any of them ever saw him perform, and it was like that. He loved being Bill the Animal Slayden because nobody else had anything like that.
That was a whole side of him that wasn't really a part of family life and family existence. The grandkids never saw that. All the children, saw him perform, and their spouses, I'm sure, saw him perform.
Yep.
But that was a compartment that he kept separate from the grandkids. Of course, the grandkids were little. They weren't really.
Yeah.
That's not something they needed to see.
And it is something that really developed over time, and it was. I don't think he really got into like the pratfalling and throwing himself everywhere until it just kind of became his niche.
Right.
With that, and the other niche, not having this completely different set of just encyclopedic knowledge that everybody else has. And one of the strangest things is like somebody yelled out a suggestion one time, mullet. He knows what a mullet is because a mullet not only has a bad haircut, but it's also a fish. but he didn't know it was a bad haircut, even though he loved Achy Breaky Heart.
Right.
He didn't know that it was an outdated haircut, and he could not figure out what was happening. I don't even remember what game they were playing. You know, it may have been, it probably was Invader.
Like some of the different games or scenarios that you would have liked to have been in with Bill as a
Invader.
as a performer.
Hands down, Invader is the best. So we'd send Bill out in isolation alley it's a guessing game. So we would get some sort of entity, whatever it might be, person, thing, concept, is invading. There is a weapon that will defeat that invading entity, and then there's a barrier that we have to overcome to get to the secret weapon to defeat that invading entity. And Bill would just, you think he's got it, and then he'd veer off and go a completely different direction. But it was his exuberance and expository verbal diarrhea that made that game great.
Right.
You know, and
that was his game.
That was one of his games, and he could not figure out because he kept thinking that somebody should be describing a fish.
Fish.
Yes.
Right.
So.
Well, and that's the other thing is that he would take words that were being thrown out and twist them to what most of the audience didn't even know, you know, and he was able to remember what it was back in his day.
Right, yes.
And twist it, and the audience is going, what?
It was endearing.
Yes, it was.
I do remember one time I figured out, I know how well Bill thinks. I really know how his brain works since we've been performing, I don't know, 8 years together. So if you've been every week for 8 years, you just know somebody. And I thought, I'm going to use Bill logic. I know when you give him a clue, he will go over there. So I'm going to give him a clue that will put it over there, so he will go right there to the right answer. Bam, bam, bam. It was like a magic trick. People were freaked out. It's like, how did you do that? It's like, I know how Bill thinks. I know that if I give him that clue, what you think would work doesn't, but what you don't think would work does. It was fun. That's one of the top favorites to play with him. It just.
So I leave, right? Rotate. Now. Candle.
All right, so like you had said, Bill was compartmentalized. You know, there's the funny side. So what was Bill like at home?
Well, Bill at home was funny as well. Sometimes, like I said earlier, I needed to tune him in or wind him in to be a little more serious when we needed to talk about something serious. But he was pretty happy-go-lucky at home.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty much. Loved, like we said earlier, loved to play music all the time. Love shoot 'em ups. You know, I'm back in the back bedroom watching chick flicks, and he's in the front living room watching shoot 'em ups, that sort of thing. But he was very involved with family. He loved being a part of the family and keeping up with family. Liked to work out in the yard. He did a lot of yard work. Liked to build. Oh my gosh, anything with wood. He added onto our deck. He added, up at the chalet, he added a whole nother thing all by himself.
Mm-hmm.
Put the post in and everything to the chalet, which of course got burned down in the fire. But anyway, just a good at-home person. Enjoyed being at home. And
just as much.
Just as much, right.
Yeah.
We took several trips. We did some European trips. We went to Hawaii. So we enjoyed, doing trips when he could, that sort of thing.
So as a son, what are the lessons that really stick out in your mind from growing up with Bill as your dad that he, that still ring true for you now?
Well, it is for me, it was one thing he's telling me is like, when you're supposed to work. When you're supposed to, when you're supposed to have fun, and don't overdo either one of them.
Right.
So,
Right.
and I like to have too much fun, and he goes like, no, now it's time to work.
Well, and he enjoyed teaching, especially his sons, how to fix things. Bill was a fixer. He could do just about anything. with electricity, with wood. He stayed away from plumbing most of the time, but he taught Marshall and Matthew how to fix a lot of things. And he was a do-it-yourself kind of guy, unless it was just out of his realm, which was very rare. I mean, he added on rooms, he did electricity, he did a lot of stuff. He involved the children in activities around the house, and that was one of the things that my daughter had to teach her husband, is that she wanted to be involved in working in the yard or a home fix-it thing, and Matt was like, no, this is something men do. No, this is something I want to do. So that was an important part of growing up with the kids, is learning how to fix things, being involved, working out in the yard, raking. Everybody was raking, everybody was picking up leaves, that sort of thing.
So what do you think Bill would say about, because we have both the Slayden intensives that work with high schoolers that we're going to be adding this year, that the high schoolers will be paired with professional teachers.
Wonderful.
And then they will perform in the festival. And we're also going to have the second Slayden Cup competition, but it's not a team versus team, it's a player versus player, winner take all this time around. So what do you think Bill would say about the intensives, or how do you think he would look at it?
I think Bill would be thrilled that you're involving the high schoolers, because I think he felt like it was important to keep this going. And I know that he was involved in some of the high school, like with Farragut's improv group, and I think maybe even Oak Ridge had an improv group, but whatever, he was involved with that.
Okay, what do we say about that? Fantastic. Bring more people into it. He would be moved, but he wouldn't say he was moved by it. He kept that stuff very close to the chest. But he would be, he'd be very much honored to have that named after him. I don't doubt that at all. And it would be, I think, just to be like, yeah, that's great. He was very much like that.
He also, I don't know, we haven't mentioned, he also performed on stage in plays with his daughter, Meredith. Meredith was very involved in dancing and musical theater, and Bill actually did some parts on stage. So his interest in keeping the young people involved was very important to him. Very important.
Yeah, I agree, and I don't feel like for him, I think he loves having the cup named after him.
Well, since it's named after me, I should get at least 10% of the profits. I know he would say that. That's Bill. I think you would enjoy that too. You'd be like, ooh, do I get to judge? He would definitely participate in that. He'd think it would be great. And then he'd definitely want his picture with it.
But it never was really like a competition. It was just the fun, and as long as everybody's like having fun, especially
that was the main thing.
Especially the kids.
Let's have a good time.
Let's have a good time. Yeah.
That was his motto.
Yeah.
Let's have a good time. And he grew up that way, and I think his parents, it sometimes drove his parents crazy that he was like that. But that's who he was from the get-go.
Yeah.
From the get-go as a kid, from then on. And his sister would certainly agree with that. She was always reading a book over to the side, and he was always cutting up and causing problems, and that was their life.
Prior, so with like the musical theater and all that, he was doing that. Was that after improv? After he started doing improv?
During. Meredith was involved in 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th grade through high school, and he got involved with the play performances because he liked being on stage. But the worst part of it was, I'll never forget this as long as I live, he's up there improving on stage, and of course then the other players didn't know what their lines were because he's making up lines, and the director says, Bill, you have to say the line the way it's supposed to be so they know when to come in. And that was the hardest part for him. Coach Vic was like, Bill.
What's a great memory that you both have, or that you have of Bill that you would like to share?
I'll let you go first.
It's funny, but you remember like seeing him maybe like surprised at the same time. It's like, and I'm gonna time this in with Einstein Simplified. So I was living in Oklahoma, and I actually had not been to the show in about a year and a half, and I changed jobs, but I was still going to be living in Oklahoma, but I had like a couple weeks off, so I drove home, and I think I told Paul and Wes that I was coming in, and they were like, well, don't tell your dad, and we're going to be in, it's like, well, sneak you into the audience, because they do this was at the place across the street from Manhattan's. I can't remember the name of it now, but it's like, we'll hide you in the audience and then we'll bring you up, like as like one of the clues or something, or one of the things just like that. And I saw him, and just the look on his face, and he was just so happy to see me, because I don't think it'd been like 6 months since I'd been in town or anything like that. And it was just things like that. And another thing I always remember, and still to this day, and it's just such a weird thing, but when we were kids, and I'd say like 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, he would come and join us at lunch, and I never saw anybody else's parents ever do that. I mean, like you're at Farragut Intermediate, and your dad walks in, and he's having lunch with you, sitting on those little stools at the tables that fold up,
and mixing the chocolate milk with the white milk.
Yeah, and like getting you out of trouble because you were talking, but you weren't supposed to be talking, because my dad's here, and it was,
he was totally involved with his children.
Yeah, and it was just so much fun, and you didn't want it to end.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. And I'm going to have to say one of my favorite memories is Bill was kind of lackadaisical about birthday presents and Christmas presents and Valentine's and anniversaries and all of that. And on our 25th wedding anniversary, which was in '99, sorry about that. In '99, he said, we're going on a trip, and I'm not telling you where. But this is what you need to pack, and we're going to be gone for 2 weeks. And I'm like, I work. So I've got all that taken care of. Everybody knew. I think you all knew.
We knew.
All the kids knew. All my friends knew. All my work people knew. And he surprised me and took me to Europe and bought me over there a BMW convertible. And we actually drove that from Germany to England to Scotland, and then I dropped him off to play golf, of course. And then I drove the car back, and then we had it shipped back. And that was just such a surprise. I mean, it was just a total surprise, and so out of character for him to do all that. So even though that sounds, fancy dancy, it was just so special for him to plan all that for us on our 25th wedding anniversary. So lots and lots of memories, but that's one special one that I always tell everybody about. So anyway, he was a special, special man. Absolutely.
What do you think if you were going to sum Bill up in, almost in a Reader's Digest kind of sense, how would you sum him up all, as because it's hard to capture a life in a short amount of time, but how would you sum up Bill if you were to if you were to kind of give a Reader's Digest overview of Bill?
Okay.
I think the byline of the article would be "Life of the Party."
Yes, he was always life of the party. One of his sayings was, always leave a party when you're having a good time. Never stay as long. But overall, I would say Bill was a very hard worker, very hard-working CPA, but he was also a very strong family man. And he loved his children, he loved his grandchildren, wanted to be a part of all of their lives. And he liked to keep things spread out even. He wasn't, You know, some men are all about their jobs and that's it. Some men are all about their families and that's it. And he liked to keep it even, Stephen. And so he kept it level pretty
Yeah.
much.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
With his music, with his improv, with his work, with his, you know, whatever he doing around the house. It was all, wasn't totally all one thing, which was wonderful about
Yeah.
him. So.
Hey, Bill.
Thank you, Marshall.
Hey, Bill.
What? Oh,
Hey,
what?
Bill, come here. Hey, Todd, come here.
Yeah.
Hey, Todd. Something. Oh. Hey, Bill.
Yes.
Get out. Something is invading. Hey, Todd. God, I haven't missed you at all. All right. So, crowd, there is an invading entity. This entity can be a celebrity. It can be a non-celebrity. It can be a banana for all I give a shit. But there is something invading the planet. What is it? Ray Liotta! Stop! I got Ray Liotta. Alright, Skybox. There is a weapon that will defeat Ray Liotta. A defibrillator. Javelin. A system of pulleys and wheels. But wait, there's more. There is a barrier preventing Todd and Bill from getting to this weapon. Chantix, the stop smoking aid.
But Roy Liotta does commercials for that.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Oh, now Bill's really never going to get it. All right, Todd, will you tell us what we're dealing with?
All right. Okay, so Ray Liotta is invading us. The barrier that's preventing me from getting to the weapon that will defeat him is made of Chantix, and that weapon is a complex system of wheels and pulleys. So should Billy get anywhere near the answer, feel free to start snapping to help him out a little. And honest to God, help him out a little. So, and if he gets it, give me applause. So.
Hey, I think I've waited 14 years to say this. Ladies and gentlemen, Todd Covert and Bill Slayden in a game of Invader.
Yell for Bill on 3. 1, 2, 3. Bill! Oh my God, Bill!
Hey, Todd, how are you? Good to see you.
Well,
It's been a long time.
I know, but it's horrifying. He's coming and he's going to destroy everything.
That was gender insensitivity. Why is it not an or an it or a they? Well, you know, Minnie wants to be recognized as a couch this week.
Well, he's actually a he, as far as I can tell, anyway.
The way you're holding your hands, I think you have some personal knowledge. Just saying. Anyway, he's horrifying.
He's got this rictusy smile that looks like a mannequin when he
What kind of
smiles.
smile?
Rictusy, like he hasn't eaten limes in a long time. I'll go to the entire derivation of that word in the OED.
Berry,
We got a lot
rickets.
of time to kill.
Yeah,
That's the thing that you can
He
get.
hasn't eaten limes. Oh,
No, that doesn't have anything to do with it. But that was a sidetrack. So,
Larry King.
Larry
He just got a
King.
divorce.
No, I don't know why that came to mind. Anyway,
He looks like he hasn't
he's
sucked on limes.
He's just
Okay.
such a good fellow on the surface, but ultimately he's not. He's evil. That's right. I said good fellow.
Good job. Robert De Niro.
No.
Oh, that's close. But he was a good fellow. Oh, the short guy.
Wait, are you thinking of Joe Pesci? Is Joe
Yes.
Pesci
No.
what you're gonna say?
The other short fella. He was in the two people that were divorcing.
I've never seen that. There's never been a movie about two people divorcing.
Joe Pesci. What's the other guy? He does commercials and stuff like that. Yes. Okay, I'm close.
If the sun were shining down on us, but only just like one little hole, it would be like of sunshine.
A peep.
No.
A peephole? Remember we used to look through the girls' gym? Oh, you can't do that anymore.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
it's sunshine. Anyway.
No,
of sunshine.
A ray.
Yes.
Ooh, Ray Lolita. Ray, was he in Goodfellas? Yes. Who was this short guy?
Joe Pesci.
What's the other guy's name?
Joe Pesci. No.
Are we done?
Little known fact, there were 2 Joe Pescis in that movie.
I didn't know that.
That's because it's not true!
And Flashdance, the girl that was doing the...
Jennifer Beals?
No, it was the guy with the mustache.
Oh.
Because she couldn't flip on her back or whatever. Just so you know.
Wow. Anyway, Ray Liotta is attacking us.
He's attacking us,
And
yes.
we can defeat him, except we can't get through this barrier right here. This barrier that is made out of something that apparently you're going to know, as it turns out.
Is it gelatinous?
Yes. Yeah, I'll just go with that.
Okay.
Yes, and he actually is connected to that. Yes, Ray
Yes,
Liotta.
okay.
He's connected with it somehow. You even said that he does something after the movies. What's he doing? He's in commercials, right?
Yes, that's correct. Oh, aftermarket advertising. After he loses his job, he gets another job in marketing.
Right, but
No.
while he wasn't working, he was smoking.
Unemployed.
He was smoking a whole lot.
Marijuana.
Yes.
Oh, wait, the vapor things.
And now, but he doesn't want to do any of that anymore. So he's
Rehab.
using this product
Oh,
to try to stop from smoking.
a big hammer.
You know, when I think about it, they probably would stop. I mean, a big hammer, they take a slug. Boom!
Oh, that's right. Yeah, now I'm trying to pick up that fang.
That's
one
right.
Yeah, okay.
Well, anyway, I don't know.
It's gelatinous.
This barrier is made of something that he advertises for to stop smoking.
Ooh, do you chew it? No. Okay, thank you. So that gets rid of it. Do you put it on your skin?
Yes.
Oh,
When you and I were monks all these years ago, remember when we were monks and in the morning we would sing, but we wouldn't exactly sing, we would
Ululate? No. We would sing, look, I know.
Yeah, what is that called?
Not in harmony.
Well, that would be atonal, but let's not worry with the music lesson right now.
Okay, that's all right. So it's the patch, the nicotine patch.
Right, a word that rhymes almost with patch that they were doing, like monks would be.
Making noise. You don't see me tapping my foot to that. That's just not getting it. Okay. Ooh, it's like they do in a mosque. They yell out.
No, that's ululating.
Oh, yeah, good callback. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Hatch, hatch, watch, latch. It's coming to me.
Hell no, we won't go! Hell no, we won't go! Hell no, we won't go!
That McDonald and the fish, the war thing from Vietnam.
What was he doing? He was
Yelling.
But another word for
Protest.
yelling. Another word. If a whole bunch of people did that and yelled at us.
Protest.
Hold on, here comes Wes.
Oh, thank God.
I want to find the game. I need to change the channel.
Channel. Yes.
What? The
Chan. Why did you just say that? Okay.
The only way we can defeat him now is with this,
right.
which will start here by doing this thing, and then that'll go over there, and that'll come down there, where that thing will turn to there, and then that'll swing there, and that thing will attach to that, that'll move around this way, that'll drop down, another thing will come over here, the next thing you know, there's a big cage, he goes, oh, like this, right on top of his ass.
Ooh! It's interlocking interstices.
God damn, that's close enough. You win.
Good God, Bill, that was just crazy. But let's do that again.